I caught my boyfriend while I was on a substance and it ruined my brain.
Sounds like a bad trip.
I, 18 female, started dating Jason, 18 male, almost 2 years ago. We had some breakups after we hit the year mark, but we have been together for the majority of the last 2 years. By the way, this comes from Eternally Pink, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
I'm Dr. Kim.
And I'm Keon, and our special guest here, Dr. Kim Chronister, is a licensed clinical psychologist, author, and media commentator with a doctorate from Alliant International University. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Lovely.
Yes.
She takes a strength-based approach, focusing on clients' strengths rather than weaknesses, and uses DBT, CBT, and client-centered therapy. With experience in private practice, treatment centers, and research, she also performs complex psychological assessments. She's a respected expert. Dr. Chronister has appeared on Access Hollywood, NBC News, Women's Health, and Live Strong. She's the author of Peak Mindset, The New Science of Success, and Fit Mentality, and offers life coaching internationally and in Beverly Hills.
And we have a lot of international listeners.
Yes.
But OP says he is a heavy acid user. He does a tab a week and has been doing this for the past 6 months. I told him I was worried about how this could affect his brain, and he said it wouldn't and that it helps him. I mean, it would affect it. I have done shrooms before, but never acid. I've always said I wanted to wait until my brain is fully developed so I don't damage it. I have a 4.0 GPA and I plan on going to law school and becoming a lawyer. I did acid for the first time with him 3 weeks ago. It was a pretty good trip and I enjoyed it. We decided to trip again 2 days ago and we did. But something happened. For context, Jason became friends with a girl he previously had a crush on while we weren't together. They hung out in a group, but nothing happened. Since we've been back together, I told him I'm insecure with him snapping this girl. I just had a bad feeling about her. He said he's lonely and wants friends. So he continued. The trip 2 days ago was actually amazing for the first part. Him and I bonded, and I felt very connected to him. While we were 8 hours deep into our trip and coming down, I looked at his phone, and my heart dropped. I saw that he had secretly gone to that girl's house a few days before when he had lied and told me he was at Dairy Queen with one of his guy friends. I also saw that he was saving her selfies in chat, even after I had expressed that them talking made me feel insecure. Who knows what happened while they were together? I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I ran into the storage room with his phone and fell onto the floor sobbing. I was still tripping and also very high off devil's lettuce, and I just started screaming. Ooh. I was screaming that I couldn't believe he had done this to me, that he didn't care about me. He was just on the floor next to me with his hands on his head, saying he was sorry. He didn't even excuse it. I felt like I was being stabbed, like I was going to pass away right there on the floor. I have never felt the pain I felt right there. I really thought I was going to marry this man, that he was my soulmate. I ran back into the main room to get away from him, and I kept looking at the evidence on his phone in disbelief. I threw his phone against the wall and fell onto the floor. I felt like I was going crazy. I almost got violent. I was so mad, hurt, betrayed, confused, and it was all multiplied because of my state of mind. I can't say what else I did because it all feels blurry, but I know I was acting crazy. I drove home an hour or two later, and I was screaming and crying the entire 45-minute drive. I have never felt this kind of pain before. Basically, since this happened, I have felt different. I think being on acid while finding this out changed my brain or did something to it. I know it's normal for me to feel depressed right now, but this is more. I feel passed away. I'm getting dopamine from nothing. I don't even feel sad. I barely cried or thought about what I found out. I just feel empty. I really don't know how to describe it. I've had no appetite. Everything exhausts me. And I don't want to watch TV, read, do my makeup, and talk to anyone, play video games, or listen to music, things I always love doing. And we're going to pause because we just had a lot of information. Do you have any thoughts about like what she could be experiencing?
Yeah, so she was under the influence of a substance,
Yeah.
and a hallucinogen.
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, all that trauma was enhanced
Yes.
from being on the hallucinogen at that time. So unfortunately, that's going to be an even stronger flashbulb memory for
Yeah.
her. And it's going to consolidate, into memory pretty
Mhm.
quickly. So it's sounding like we're still in shock.
Yeah.
It's still pretty recent. And she's already experiencing, some PTSD symptoms.
Yeah.
It sounds like depression, anhedonia, where she has.
What's anhedonia?
So that's where you're really not experiencing the pleasure that you used to experience.
And that was the dopamine.
Yeah. So even like the little things that she used to enjoy, like reading,
Yeah.
she's not even getting dopamine at all.
Yeah.
She's dopaminergically depleted.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that's the thing. And then, and even a hallucinogen, depending on if it's like LSD, it can make you depleted with dopamine the next day too.
Yeah.
And a couple days later, unfortunately. So
She might
yeah,
also
she's
just be
still-
having that,
yeah,
in
tapped
general.
out,
Yeah.
hyper vigilant, just really hurting, it sounds like. But yeah, that's doubly traumatic. The fact that
Yes.
she was under the influence of a hallucinogen and then finding, the
This information out.
infidelity.
Yeah. I mean, already, even if you weren't under it,
Yeah.
it'd be like a lot to take in.
It's a lot. It's intense.
Yeah.
And she said it changed her brain.
Yeah.
yeah.
Which, I mean, she's also 18, so
Yeah.
probably also, I mean, like, of all of the factors that make everything seem more heightened, she's
Mhm.
also at the age where everything seems more heightened and probably feels like, she said, this guy is my soulmate, which is, I feel like, how a lot of 18-year-olds view their relationships, especially
Yeah.
like a first relationship.
Yeah.
So I think everything is just super heightened for her.
Very, very heightened. And
Yeah.
yes, she does have very strong feelings. It can feel like she's never going to feel this feeling again. A lot of
Yeah.
times when it is the first relationship,
Yeah.
they feel like they're never going to feel that
Mhm.
connection or that high again.
Yeah.
But
Do you
yeah.
work with like a lot of younger?
Yeah,
like-
a lot of teenagers, a lot of people in their early 20s. That's kind of like my sweet spot right now.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
perfect. That's exactly
Yeah.
what we have. Him and I didn't even break up, but I have barely wanted to talk to him. I'll get little bursts of feeling sad about what happened, but I mostly feel empty. I don't really feel like I have the will to live anymore, or the will to do anything for that matter. And by the way, you can listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search up OK Storytime. And there is a little bit left, so we'll read that and we'll get your final thoughts. I do keep remembering the moment I found out, and some snippets of me acting absolutely crazy. I will update if it goes away with time, but I'm worried I made a big mistake taking that tab. And there are some comments. Comment 1 says, what you're feeling is not something the tab did, you're just depressed. I felt the exact same way when my ex cheated on me, and I've never done acid. You should break up with him and move on. Reply says this, the acid just made what happened way more intense. OP, you're grieving and in shock at the loss of a relationship, and this is normal because the relationship is done. You need to end it so you can start healing. It's already over, you just need to lock the door. Everything you're going through is okay. Comment 2 says, you're 18 and you have dreams of going to law school? First step to law school is quit the frickin' acid. Understandably, you've done it twice. Now you're at the point of having to deal with a liar, cheater, and a substance user because, in all fairness, that's what he is. And he's going to bring you down with him if you stay. You need to face the hurt and betrayal head on. Understand that you truly deserve better. Heartbreak is never easy, and sometimes doing the right thing for yourself seems really hard and impossible. It's not impossible. Unfortunately, everyone goes through heartbreak. If you stay, fully expect the cheating to continue and him being really sneaky about it. Expect more disrespect, mind games, his substance use to continue, and get more frequent and some trips to the doctor for STI testing regularly. Don't throw that 4.0 GPA and your dreams away for a cheater. Comment 3 says, coming from a guy that's done acid plenty of times and been around people that do it, you probably don't want to be near someone that's doing a tab a week and saying it helps them. I've seen plenty of people do way too much of it and go off the rails. You won't OD, but you will definitely change mentally with that much acid. And there is an update, but any other thoughts?
Yeah.
about that?
I just want to say breakups are clinically underrated. So you see them kind of like, glamorized in movies,
Yeah.
and we think, it's like kind of like a joke at some points. And then some of it is obviously there's dark humor involved in it, but that's why I do a lot of work with breakups, because it's just clinically underrated. People don't understand that you can have like so many passive suicidal thoughts,
Yeah.
so like little motivation to do anything,
Yeah.
and it drags people. And I think people are becoming more aware of how serious that actually is
Yeah.
for people. That it can take, up to a couple of years. to
Well, I
really
feel
have
like
that.
there's just like this chemical bonding that happens when you have a relationship with
Yeah.
anyone, really, but
Yeah.
like especially in romantic relationships.
Absolutely.
And then to have that like
Yanked
sharp
away.
break.
And we don't even know where she was at. Was she in
Yeah.
limerence? Was she high still from the relationship? It sounds like she had like a very
Absolutely.
intense feelings.
Yeah. I
And-
mean, like she said, she's like, this is my soulmate.
Yeah, and dual loss, because now she has to deal with a shift maybe in her sense of self with the infidelity and have to question everything about
and
the
then also
relationship.
going to college soon.
And then have to deal with the breakup on top of it, which is
Yeah.
why you see a lot of people wanting to kind of boomerang back, because now they don't want to deal with both things, the shock of the infidelity and the breakup.
Yeah, and she's like, maybe I should get back together with him, even though
It's common for them to want to try.
Yeah.
And most people do try to actually reconcile after, but that can really create the trauma bond. So
yeah.
it's
And do
so
you
tough.
like talk to a lot of people who have tried multiple times, and then you're have to kind of guide them towards like,
After
how do you-
infidelity?
yeah,
Yeah, unfortunately, if the partner is someone that just repeats the pattern,
yeah,
and they didn't take a lot of ownership or do a lot of therapy after and figure out what was underneath it. Was it, they needed more ego validation? Were you unfulfilled? Did you feel like you needed variety and you couldn't express that?
yeah.
What was underneath it? Then yeah, the pattern can continue, and then you see them, do that multiple times, and it's chronic.
Yeah.
And it depends on what the variable is. Do they live together? Do they have
Sure.
kids? It's hard to really make that decision, but yeah, hard to pull away.
Yeah. But I think OP, you're only 18. You got a lot of life to live.
Yeah.
But there is an update. OP says he broke up with me over text. I feel so heartbroken. I thought I meant more to him, but I agree with most comments that he was not a good influence. And that's the end of that story. But yeah, I mean, he got with you when he was 16. He's also only 18. This is clearly, immaturity is a part of this. But I think that you definitely will, thrive outside of this relationship.
Absolutely.
That's my take on that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
definitely. Hopefully there's resilience there.
Yeah. I think sometimes when you get into that like mindset of something outside of you has control over you, like she says about the substances, she's
Yeah.
like, my brain has been changed.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you get into that mindset of like, I can't fix this, it's harder to get out of it. Maybe that's
And people do after
Mhm.
PTSD, they really do feel like their
Yeah.
brains change. But with time and with the grounding skills and really habituating to like a new routine, it is kind of you're having to reinvent yourself after something that's
Absolutely.
traumatic like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I think we have some questions from our
Yeah.
audience for
Mhm.
you. So this comes from Does It Really Matter? Who says, when I was a child, around 10 years old, my parents already didn't have a good relationship. They were basically at each other's throats every day. And because of that, every evening spent with them at home was filled with immense anxiety for me. I hated that the two most important people in my life couldn't stand each other. At one point, things escalated so badly that my dad announced he was leaving. He was moving out. I'll never forget sitting on the couch, my mom and I kneeling in front of him, both of us crying and begging him not to go. Of course, my mom realized that this situation wasn't healthy for me, so while she was sobbing and pleading with my dad to stay, she tried to calm me by saying, "Dad's just going to the store." It's rough. But unfortunately, I could see right through it, and I knew she was trying to lie to me. In the end, we managed to convince my dad to stay, but from that point on, I had constant stomach anxiety for months. I was terrified he might change his mind and move out after all. I remember it clearly as if it happened yesterday. The only thing that brought me joy and peace during that time was when my dad talked to me about his near future plans. Nothing major, just things like, I'll mow the lawn tomorrow. Next week I'm going here. Or this weekend I'll clean the pond. It didn't matter what it was. What mattered to me as a child was that as long as these plans existed and were scheduled, he couldn't possibly leave. How could he move out if he had things to do? Lately, I've been thinking a lot about why little things like when my ex would say, I'm playing tonight, or when someone who doesn't live with me but is at my place and I desperately don't want them to leave, says, I'm just going to eat. Let me turn on the oven. Why do those things calm me? The oven takes a while to heat up, so I know they'll be there longer. In moments like these, I feel my soul settle and the constant anxiety eases for a while. But now I see that this trait of mine comes from a childhood, what I experienced as a trauma, that I probably couldn't properly process at the time because I didn't even have the chance to. And so it's been haunting me ever since. It's likely for similar reasons, or perhaps exactly because of that, that I developed this. When I get close to someone from the very beginning, my soul clings to them like there's no tomorrow. I live in a constant state of anxiety, terrified of when that person will leave me. Whenever they don't speak to me in the usual tone, my mind spirals into the worst-case scenarios. I can't think of anything else except that they hate me now. It's going to end soon, and they'll throw me away. I'm incapable of calming myself down, and I feel like it's hurting me from the inside. I don't know how much longer I can bear living like this, feeling this way 24/7, unless someone is so deeply, undeniably committed to staying by my side. And that is the comment, and I guess that commenter is probably wondering how do you kind of work through this or work with this, I guess?
Yeah. So it definitely sounds like, she was having an anxious attachment situation with that after. And really great insight that was historical, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, I tied the two together.
Seems like OP really has a
Yeah,
sense of like,
very
where it comes from.
therapized or just very insightful. Yeah, so now we're gonna have an anxious attachment with everyone, and so sometimes people will want to push away, as soon as they feel like any closeness. So at
So
first
you don't
she's
get hurt.
very, very, anxious and attached and maybe codependent at the beginning, and then it becomes where I know this person is going to leave, and it's that irrational thought, even if there's not any proof of such thing.
Yeah.
So then she wants to reject, potentially before being rejected.
Yeah.
And then that can just mean like she's devaluing in her mind. It could just mean that she's preparing herself for doomsday. And that can also lead to behaviors that are sabotaging. If you notice in relationships that, now it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. So you think the person's going to leave, so now you're more reactive.
And push, to push them
and
away.
you push them, you're pushing and you don't even realize that that is self-fulfilling.
Yeah.
But very painful, anxious attachment situation. Looks like that she does, kind of want to reject or protect herself, at certain points. But how can she heal from that? How can she overcome? Having everything be top of mind is really important. So just having that goal of wanting that. And then once you're starting to feel the negativity or experiencing that negativity or fear of abandonment, journaling is very underrated. It's very simplistic, but it's very helpful with people that have these type of thoughts that want to push away.
Yeah.
And then really being honest. So they actually did a study that showed that people that reject before being rejected actually have the same statistics as far as like staying with their partner. So one attribute is that they actually do communicate to their partner, I have these urges, I have these feelings. Instead of them just saying, what is this erratic behavior? You're actually expressing that you have these urges to either push away or pull close, push, pull, and you're having the fear of abandonment. So just that being top of mind, one, a goal, two, a lot of journaling and insight into it, and then a lot of positive distractions. So it's like when you're having that urge, or you're just ruminating about them potentially abandoning you, that you're distracting positively. So you have a lot going on with your life and feeling filled up inside. And a lot of
meaning.
You
don't find that validation from others.
Yes, and then you're not seeking that external validation, perseverating on whether or not they're going to stay with you. It's more like you're filled up inside and centered, and then expressing yourself if you do have those fears.
It's a great answer.
Yeah.
Very good. But we do have another question.
Yeah.
Caitlin Von Compen, who might be in the chat.
She is in the chat.
Yeah, I see her. Says, I, 32 female, am sober as of June 6th, 23. DOC was meth. I also have ADHD and was using as a way to self-medicate. Have you had any patients in recovery go back on stimulant meds? I've tried all kinds of other ADHD meds, Straterons, guanfacine, but they haven't helped at all. My ADHD is so bad it makes doing everyday things very difficult. Question, how would I go about talking to my psychiatrist about getting back on those without being judged as a past user? And that's the end of that question. I don't know if you have any experience with this.
Absolutely. So I was a director at a couple of rehabs in this area. So I was able to be around a lot of people that were, actually maintaining sobriety and initiating that. So congratulations on your sobriety. That's very exciting. And and a lot of being in recovery is about non-judgment, right? So it's very personal of how people get sober. Some people do harm reduction. Some people are huge in AA.
Yeah.
For AA, it's more all or nothing. It's more like, okay, let's really just, exclude the stimulants. So for that, people do really well that way. But for you, it just really depends on your quality of life. Is your quality of life being natively affected?
But not taking the,
Right. And so that's such a personal question. Do I say in general, we recommend that you just stay off? Of course, because, we don't want it to be a slippery slope. But ultimately, you have to process with your therapist. Is it affecting your quality of life that much? Are you not, getting most tasks done?
Yeah.
And it can be really debilitating. So a lot of times I'll do like disability evaluations for mental health, and you'll see the ADHD can be so severe that they really feel like they can't function or work, or do any schoolwork at all. So it's a very painful thing, and very very debilitating at times. So quality of life you got to look at, and know the risks and know when get your support system in place.
I feel like a psychiatrist can recommend the dosage, safely.
Yeah. And talking to the psychiatrist, fit is really important when it comes to therapy and psychiatry. They actually state that the variables that indicate whether or not you do well in therapy are fit, like, actually getting along well, having rapport.
Yeah.
That's a major, and that's actually more important than intervention.
Yeah.
So that's really big. So make sure that it's someone that's really hearing you out.
And that you can talk to.
And of course their default's going to be, please, like, let's try not because of the history. But again, you just have to go with your quality of life and really process it for a while. And it sounds like you have. So good luck with that. But congrats on your sobriety. So
Yeah,
huge,
that's
huge,
amazing.
huge.
But those are all the questions that we have. And we do have another story. I finally met someone amazing, but my anxiety won't let me enjoy it.
Oof. Yeah, that's not good.
No.
Mm-mm.
I, 38 male, used to be way more anxious, but I've worked on myself a lot and have gotten more confident in myself. And while I still have some anxiety here and there, it's manageable. I go on a fair number of dates, like 1 or 2 a week on average, and I actually really like first dates. I have no nervousness at all. It's really fun getting to know someone new with no expectations. By the way, this comes from username 102469, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
I'm Dr. Kim.
And I'm Keon.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do, so let us know what you would do. But today we actually have an expert. So OP says, last week I went on a first date with someone. We met on a dating app, and our conversation beforehand on the app was just okay. I was slightly nervous because she was really attractive. But when I got there, she was more nervous than I was. I don't think I'm that good looking of a person, so that was surprising. The date went really well. We had way more in common than I would have thought. She was just as attractive in person as in her pictures. We hugged goodnight, and the ending was awkward, but I thought it went well. The next day, I asked her out again. I started getting a bit more anxious. Asking someone on a second day is way more nerve-wracking for me. Now, I know this person a bit more, and I like them so far. I need to pick a place that she'll like, and I'm always nervous I'm going to be judged for what I pick, though it's never happened so far. This time, at least, I had a good idea based on our conversation. Dinner and then going to a bar with some activities that we had talked about. She pretty quickly texted back. I said in my message that I was going on a trip. She asked when I'd be back. I told her, and it took her like 90 minutes to respond. That's when my anxiety started spiraling out of control. I was hosting an event at work and could barely focus on what I needed to do, but then I got the text. She gave me some days that worked for her. I was free the first available day she gave, so I told her let's do that day and gave her my plan. Her texting's very dry. She said something to the effect of, yeah, that sounds good. See you then. And of course, my brain started telling myself that she wasn't interested, despite agreeing to a date with me literally moments earlier. I went away on my trip soon after that. It was a fun trip. I saw a bunch of close friends, and I was basically doing something every moment I wasn't asleep, which is not like me. The whole time, though, I was stressed out about texting her. Should I text her? What should I text her? Each day I didn't text, my anxiety got worse and worse. I would be having fun with my friends, and my brain would snap to, you should text her. Eventually, I sent her a picture of something funny I saw. She responded quickly, and we joked back and forth for a couple of texts. I felt better after that for a little bit, but then I started worrying again. The next text I sent was a confirmation text for the date the day before, which she responded to an hour and a half later, which again made me a bit anxious, but she confirmed, so all was well once again. I was a bit nervous for the second date, but it went really, really well. Conversation flowed the whole time, and we got to know each other better. Near the end, we had some pretty deep discussions about what we were looking for in past relationships and what we learned from them. We both seemed to be on the same page. She told me she found me really attractive and that it was refreshing to find someone who could actually hold a conversation, which was nice to hear. It was only the second date, but I was really falling for her. We kissed goodnight this time. I texted her when I got home saying I had a great time and that I hoped we could do it again soon. She said she would like to when she got back from her trip. I said let's talk more tomorrow. That whole night I could barely sleep. It was a mix of excitement and nerves. I just couldn't believe how great it went. But the anxiety started kicking in more and more. And we're going to pause there because we got a little bit more left. But any thoughts on this and OP's experience with anxiety?
Yeah, it's so interesting. So this generation is actually experiencing more social anxiety than ever. I think a lot of people know that.
Yeah.
But something we talk about a lot in therapy, which is interesting, is kind of frequency of texts when they're dating. And you have to remember that one of the reasons you're high and in limerence, right, with the person is because you're getting that intermittent reinforcement.
Yeah.
It's sort of like gambling. You don't know when you're going to get a hit because you don't know this person quite yet. You don't know if they're going to be consistent or not. So does he like me? Do they like me not?
Yeah.
That keeps you kind of high, but it also keeps you really anxious. So you already struggle with social anxiety. Now it's dually
Yeah.
powerful and intense because you've got the social anxiety and you're liking someone and wondering, do they like me? Do they like me not?
Yeah, you're putting your heart on the line.
Right. But it can get kind of painful. You know, you're
Mhm.
ruminating, perseverating. Do they still like me? And I'm waiting, 60 minutes, 90 minutes,
Yes.
a few hours for a
I
text back.
absolutely experienced
Yeah,
this.
it's
I also
really
have
common.
anxiety, and this was ringing true to me.
Yeah. But
It's
I don't know,
okay.
have professionals, attorneys
Yeah.
even get anxious that way
Yeah.
because, they like them, they're high off of it and they
Mhm.
want that validation and they want them to like them back. But that can get really bad with your
Yeah.
social anxiety on top of it.
Yeah, I definitely have experienced this. And I think for me, it's just kind of like my advice for you, Opie, is you just kind of have to be like, whatever happens, happens. I mean, they might not like you and they might say, this isn't the relationship for me. And
Yeah.
you literally can't do anything about it, which is
Yeah.
so scary. But after a point, like, if they do stay around, every time the anxiety gets a little less.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, well, they're still here.
exactly.
They haven't left yet.
You know what's helpful too is if it's the beginning,
In the beginning.
you're not able to pattern recognize yet.
Mhm.
So just remember that you're just learning about their patterns,
Exactly.
One day they might get back quickly, but it might take a few hours because we don't know their routine
Yeah.
and we don't know their patterns yet. So just remember you're just learning about them at this time. You don't have to take it as rejection or perceive it
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah, especially with
Yeah.
texting, because everyone texts differently and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think there is, as you said, this
Mhm.
idea that, you were talking about people bringing up texting more.
hmm
And I think there is this idea that if you don't text immediately all the time, then it is a rejection.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
People have lives.
They do.
Yeah,
They
people are
do.
busy.
Other variables.
OP continues. The next day at work, I was anxious about asking for the third date, but eventually when I got home, I texted her. She responded fairly quickly, and she was actually going to be gone longer than I expected. But we made plans for the Saturday after she gets back. I was nervous again that she wouldn't like my suggestion, but she actually used an exclamation point in her text this time. So I feel like she was into it. That's cute. It's like
Very
she's
cute.
excited, maybe. I'm gonna be busy most days she's gone, which is good. But I'm already worrying about what or when to text her. So everything seems like it's going well, but my brain just cannot stop thinking about this all ending badly. I feel like this is too good to be true, and the rug is going to be pulled out from me at any moment. I feel like she's out with other people, which she has every right to be if that's what she wants. We've only met twice. We still barely know each other, and she's going to cut things off with me. Or that she doesn't feel like I do at all and is just being nice. By the way, it'd be nice of you guys to listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. And we've got a little bit left, and then we'll discuss. There have been 4 other people I've been really into that I met on dating apps, and 3 of them changed their pictures on their profiles before ending things with me. So I've been really trying not to look at her profile in case she does update something. But it's making me so anxious. I've really only felt this anxious with one other person. I hate that my brain is like this. I hate that all of my thoughts go to this all the time. Once I'm in a relationship, I'm fine and become way more secure. But these early days are so hard for me. I don't understand it. I see a therapist, and after a session, I feel better for a little bit. But I guess I'm bad at putting what I learn into practice because I slip right back into my anxiety. I just effing hate it. And that is the end of that story. But do you have any thoughts for OP?
Yeah, it's just again we're just kind of learning
Mhm.
about the other person, and to overthink that way, it can be like on a scale, like it can be very painful, or it
Yeah.
can be just kind of more neutral. But I think it's really underrated to ask the person, like even casually, like how often do you like your friends to text,
Yeah.
or like within your old relationships, you can ask these questions a few dates in, like in your old
Mhm.
relationships. Or now, what do you prefer as far as like texting communication?
Yeah.
Because we're not always compatible that way, but you can find a middle ground.
Mm-hmm.
That, and then if you just think about texting as making a date, that
Yeah.
can help too. Because
Rather than the interim
right.
conversation.
especially if you're the one asking out more,
Sure.
then you can just think about it as adding value. Because a lot of times we're just focusing on the negative, but what about adding value? Like what could be the next adventure?
Yeah.
What are they into? Getting to know them on a deeper level,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nice to just think about texting as making the date at 1st,
Mhm.
and then, kind of getting excited about that. And that can combat some of the negativity because
Mhm.
you're thinking about adding value to them, to you, and an
Yeah.
experience rather than, just perseverating on what's happening in between. Because that might
Sure.
not matter as much in the beginning.
Yeah, and basing it on the experience of like what happens on those dates. How
Yeah.
is the rapport
Yeah.
when you're together?
Yeah.
Because I think that's a lot more important than
Mhm.
how she texts.
Right. And a lot of times we're kind of, projecting so much onto someone. We really want to try to
Yeah.
get to know them,
Yeah.
being curious,
Mhm.
being curious about each other
Yeah.
rather than just like, okay, I like this person with attractiveness and projecting a lot of things instead of asking and being curious. So yeah, getting to know them and then adding experiences
Mhm.
that can combat a lot of the
And also
negativity.
projecting your like hopes and desires onto this
Onto
person.
them too
Who
soon.
you might not even like, you might find that you don't even mesh with them. So
Exactly.
it can go really anyway.
I like that, thinking about what's a
Mhm.
fit for you more
Yeah.
rather than pleasing them. And that
Mhm.
can be, more attractive for them too because they see
Yeah.
you have your solid identity and you don't just need that external validation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, Whitney Anderson, thank you for the $50. My husband and I had a terrible marital issue we went through, and I told him it would hurt less if he passed away because of the trauma. We worked it out and stayed together, but I think it caused PTSD in me. And do you have any thoughts about working through, like, have you ever worked with, couples?
Absolutely. I do couples therapy a lot. So,
Mhm.
Whitney, that is really hard. And that's actually a normative thought. People often feel like it would have been easier. That's it can be a fleeting thought, but
yeah.
it would have been easier if they would have passed away. Not that they
This person
wanted
just
that,
disappeared.
but
Yeah.
if you compare the two of what
Yeah.
we put each other through, they care so deeply about a person.
Mhm.
And when you're, damaging or, hurting them in some way, now there's a lot of guilt and shame. And then there's also all that trauma that she's experiencing PTSD from. And so then,
Yeah.
it does make sense that you'd have that fleeting thought. It's quite normative to have that thought.
Mhm.
And yeah, but we just got to really think about how difficult dynamics are and try to give ourselves a little bit more lax on it because
Mhm.
it's hard to not react to someone. It's hard not to get too comfortable,
Mhm.
and then your intention is that, going forward, you don't want to hurt the person. And
Yeah.
when you know better, you do better. So
Yeah.
it's hard, but we do a lot of damage, and not just you. This is very normative,
Yeah, I feel like when you want to hurt someone, you search for the words that do the most damage, and then you're like,
Unfortunately.
sorry, I didn't mean that.
A lot of impulsivity, reactivity, and the most well-intended
Mhm.
people. The most
Yeah.
well-intended people. So it doesn't make you a bad person if there's been a lot of fights. It's just really about just the next day starting
you a
fresh
person.
again.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely. But we have another story. I dumped my fiance because all she wanted to do was party.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
I'm 28 male, and I've been with my now fiance, 29 female, for 11 years. We were high school sweethearts. As of late, all my fiance wants to do is go to bars and drink with her new friends and coworkers, and it's really starting to bother me. By the way, this comes from Valle Valle, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Sophia,
I'm Dr. Kim.
And I'm Keon.
and we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. And OP says, for some context, as I mentioned above, we've been together for 11 years. I was a football player in high school, so I have or had a more athletic build. She was more of a loner in high school, not trying to be harsh, just being honest. So she was more lonely. With me being an ex-football player and going to college, I got invited to parties and gatherings constantly. She's always been unsure of herself, so she really didn't want me to go to those gatherings. She insisted that I was going to find someone better than her there, so I shouldn't go. I'm more of a homebody anyway, so I didn't mind not going. Don't get me wrong, I would have liked to attend some of the gatherings, but I would rather comfort her more by not going. Fast forward to the last 2 years, and she started her new RN nursing job. We both have really good jobs and make good money. She started getting invites to hang out with friends after work. I'm not a jealous guy, so I don't care. We both work overnight, so she would go to breakfast with her coworkers in the mornings after work. Again, I wasn't worried about it. The breakfast in the morning slowly progressed to where now she's going bar hopping with her friends at night and not getting home until 3 a.m. She lost some weight in that time, so I attributed it to being more confident. We're saving for a house, planning on having kids soon, and I just proposed in December. She wanted to be married by February 2023. With all that in mind, I've been grinding my butt off to save extra money, picking up OT shifts when I can, and making lifestyle sacrifices. One day, she asked me if she could go to a bar with her coworkers for his or her birthday. Mind you, she's already been out 3 different times for coworkers' birthdays this month. I told her I didn't think it was a good idea and that she should give it a little break. She got upset with me, telling me I'm not letting her live her life the way she wants to live her life. She also said that since I would, then it shouldn't be that big of a deal. I was originally scheduled off for that day, but I picked up an OT shift. I told her that, and she got upset. Now we're broken up and trying to figure it all out. Wait, you break up? She says that I shouldn't hold her not allowing me to go to places over her head. I told her that I'm not trying to hold it over her head, but we have life goals that requires something different than just going out all night and having a good time. I told her I'm all for her going out, but can she do it in moderation? Maybe instead of going out with friends 4 times in 1 month, she can go with them 2 times in 1 month and pick up 2 OT shifts. She said she doesn't want to do overtime on her days off like I do. She's now saying I'm too demanding, like if she wants to get tattoos all over her body,
I should allow that.
if she wants to smoke devil's lettuce and party,
I should allow that.
I told her I'm not trying to stop her from doing what she wants to do. I just won't be standing here by until she's ready to get this family life back on the road. Am I wrong here? I'm losing my crap. And there are some comments. But do you have any advice or thoughts for OP?
Yeah, you did everything right. I don't know with the timing of when you were asserting yourself and your needs, you did
Yeah.
everything right there. Now, can it backfire? Because some
Yeah.
people want autonomy. Then
Yeah.
as soon as they're told they can't do something, now they want it more. Now, this person sounds like they just really get fueled up by going
Mhm.
out and then
And also seems like she didn't have that, prior and is now kind of making up for it.
Yeah, so it's the time apart's nice because now you can see is it worth it to just sacrifice and
Mhm.
and have her let her live her lifestyle. But this is a thing where it's more about fit,
Yeah.
right? But once we're attached, it's hard to kind of reverse
I mean,
that
they've been
attachment.
together for 11 years.
Right, you're already attached.
Yeah.
Now you are too attached to want to, separate
Mhm.
just because of a lifestyle change. So
Yeah.
you did everything right as far as asking for the compromise. Obviously, couples therapy would be nice too.
Sure.
Get it. That way you're not the one that's being like the probation officer here. We don't want that. It's
Yes.
really hard to have that power differential that
Mhm.
she's rebelling against basically at this
Yeah.
point. So could be a situation where this is less of a fit. It could be more of a turnoff later. We don't know.
Yeah. And I think also they were really young when they got
They were
together. So
young.
you change a lot,
You
especially in
do.
college.
Yeah, but she's looking like she really wants that autonomy. So
Mm-hmm.
you got your answer when you kind of asked if she could compromise,
Mhm.
and that was like a complete
Yeah.
rebellion for you. So
Yeah.
that's where so you could do couples therapy. You could take time apart, see if it's worth it to
Mhm.
just sacrifice that way and have her do her thing until she wears out on it a little
Yeah.
bit.
And I think going into your point about fit,
Mhm.
it seems like they're at different places in their life.
Yeah.
Like he's ready to start a family and save up money and put
Yeah.
in extra hours to
Yeah.
get that, whereas she is not ready to, as you said, like let go of that lifestyle. So yeah, maybe this isn't a fit anymore.
And a good question too could be like, do you see yourself kind of getting tired of this later on? And maybe
Yeah.
that could give you hope too. Like, do you see
Mhm.
yourself cutting down on this later? Or do you think this is going
Is
to
this
kind of
something right
persist?
now?
She might
Yeah.
even just see it as a little phase for herself. So that'd be
Yeah.
a good question too.
Yeah.
But fit is important. But once the attachment's there, that's why you really got to see their patterns
Yeah.
at the beginning before you get too attached.
Exactly.
Yeah, but hopefully there's enough there. Or it's just too painful because some people do go through a lot of emotional pain when the other one's going out all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to think about the trust factors too. So
Yeah, it was interesting to me the point about like her going out too much, and then we find out that's only 4 times a month.
Which to me, it doesn't sound like a lot.
But I guess when they seemingly have a lot of work hours, so maybe they're just not spending as much time together.
yeah.
Maybe the compromise there is also, are we spending enough time together?
Perspective can change
Yeah.
too once you have that little bit of time apart, because
Sure.
if the anxiety is really high and he wants to get back, then he's going to want to look at this differently and have a more of a reframe.
Yeah.
But as long as she gets in a place where she's less defensive, he might feel a little bit more assured about the future.
Yeah. But there are some comments. Comment 1 says, "You grew apart, dude. The only thing I see wrong in this relationship is that allowing the other to do something is a thing. You are deciding for different things on life right now. What can you do? What can anyone do? We all should find what makes us happy and follow that path. It just seems like your path is not together with hers anymore. It sucks. That's it." Reply says, "I agree that they grew apart, but I also think that he's being a little too much, asking her not to go out 4 times a month with her friends and coworkers. That just seems like a non-issue to me. I totally get it if it was 2 to 3 times a week, but averaging once a week seems totally fine to me." Reply says, "If we're playing that game, she asked for too much since she wanted the commitment and is now backing off. It isn't about the number of times that's the issue. It's the finance they both need to save for the future, and she's falling back on it. So it's neither's fault, or both had some part in this." That was kind of my
Mhm.
thought on this.
Mhm.
It seems like maybe OP would have had a little bit more success
Mm-hmm.
if he had gone from kind of standpoint of saying, "I want to save money. Is there a way that, you could help pitch in for that?" Rather
Yeah.
than saying, "I don't want you to do something."
Yes, that's true. And
Yeah.
and there's a couple things I would say there too, is that sometimes it can be more of an emotional thing where it's like they just feel like the other partner's not compensating for being gone.
Yeah.
So let's say
Which
you
is, I
have
think, what he's saying.
she's going out on a Friday, but he knows they're going to do something that he enjoys, and it obviously doesn't have to cost a lot of money, but
Mhm.
knows that it's something that he would enjoy, and she's emphasizing this and
Yeah.
excited Because sometimes a lot of times it's about that, where it's like they're not compensating in other ways. They're
And their
leaving.
jealousy.
Yeah, they're leaving. They're having fun. And then, well, where's my fun with you?
Yeah.
So if she's excited and she's enthused about whatever they're going to do that weekend, whatever part, Sunday, whatever it is, that can help a lot combat that. Then there's more closeness and then the talks are more warm. But yeah, we definitely don't want to be in a dictator role because that they're going to kick against that power differential.
Which she's doing. Comment 2, my biggest question is how does an RN have that much time and energy to party? Reply says, my one friend who's an RN is definitely the wild one of the group. I'd assume it's a way to cope in reaction to being around so much illness in passing. Reply says, vitamin B complex shots help. Most of my Filipino relatives that are in the healthcare system have weekly vitamin shots to get that extra bit of energy to do double and triple shifts.
Yes, they do.
Whoo, what? What is this? What does it do?
It gives you more energy.
Oh,
it
it's just an
increases
energy
energy.
thing?
Yeah.
Interesting. Edit. Thank you all for the replies. Most comments seem to agree. For the few that say, why is 4 times too much per month? It's not about the times per se. It's more about me committing to furthering our future while she only wants to go out and have fun. If she was going out an average of 8 times per month, I would ask her to go out 4 and pick up 4 OT shifts. I know she's a nurse and we both have tough, trying jobs, but drinking 2 to 4 times per week and bar hopping isn't the answer. I also forgot to mention that she's the one who was asking for more of a commitment prior to starting her new job. She told me that we had been together too long for her to not at least have a ring on her finger or a child. She wanted all this. When we were 22 to 25 years old, she would want me to have a child with her. I was uncomfortable at the time because I wanted to be settled in my career first. I grew up with a tougher lifestyle, so I wanted to make sure I could take care of my children by myself comfortably if it had come to that. And there is a next edit, but yeah, it seems like it's the same thing of OP saying that we had talked about a lifestyle, and I'm not seeing that same kind of energy reciprocated.
Yeah, it does sound like there's a shift, and that's common, right? So we change, we evolve, and we
Yeah.
have shifts. Unfortunately, this could be just like we talked about before, a little bit of a phase. We don't know.
Yeah.
But there's some fulfillment she's getting out of that, and we just don't want the distance to be created so much, where she does want to run away from the relationship because that might be what he's experiencing.
But there is a second edit. OP says, this will be my last post. So I've decided to break up with her and get my ring back. I didn't realize that he had proposed. I spent over $15K on the ring. Woo! Dang. Now she's literally on her knees, begging, pleading, and asking for forgiveness. I told her that I'm over this relationship, and now all she's doing is crying. It sucks that it had to come to this for her to truly understand how I was feeling, but it is what it is. Thank you, everyone, for the advice. I'll see what happens from here. And OP says, I see a lot of people saying that I'm controlling. I'm not one to look past criticism, but I have to say I disagree. When she says, I'm not allowing her to do stuff that should have been worded better. What I mean by that is she wants to seemingly be tatted from head to toe. She wants to be out trying Molly, devil's lettuce, mushrooms, etc. because that's what her friends are doing. I'm sorry, but I would rather not have a girlfriend or fiancé with tattoos everywhere and who does hardcore drugs. In addition to that, she already has 3 big tattoos on her person now, from the top of her shoulder to her elbow type tats. I like what I like and nothing can change that. When I say allow, what I'm actually saying is she can do whatever she wants to do. However, if I don't like what she does, I have every right to leave, right? Am I wrong for not wanting her to be tattooed from head to toe and do mushrooms? By the way, I want you guys to listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. And there is a tiny bit left to the story. But do you have any responses to OP's kind of questions about that?
You know, it's just I've definitely anecdotally had clients where the partner doesn't want to give them tattoos, and it's really like an ongoing struggle. It's like the more they push back, the more they want it too.
Yeah.
And so it can become really cyclical. You can express yourself on what your preferences are, but at the same time, we have to also honor their identity and their wants and needs at this time. So,
and probably also have to decide what are deal breakers.
Exactly. And really, we kind of judge relationships by like how they make us feel about ourselves and how we feel when we're around them.
Yeah.
So really the indicator is like, how is he feeling, when she's out or when they're together? It could be that the quality is suffering that way. That's what it's kind of looking like.
Yeah.
There's some other kind of issue there too, just other symptom. So I think that, if it's not a fit and he can detach, okay, a lot of people can't.
Yeah, especially
it
after
takes
that
a lot more
long
time.
of a relationship.
A lot of times it takes a lot more time of unwinding.
Yeah, he was like, I'm done. Yeah.
So if they can come to a compromise and there is attachment, that is ideal.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do have to kind of be careful of how much we push against someone's preferences for
Yeah.
going out or their, their art,
Mhm. Yeah. No, I think I say in a lot of stories, it's you can break up or divorce or, end a relationship for any reason. Like, it's your right,
Exactly.
but also it's their right to live their life
That's
how they
right.
want. But there is a little bit left to this story. As for the people advising I should just talk to her more, this same attitude has been going on for 7 months now. I talked to her when I first began to notice the change, but nothing has changed. Today was my breaking point. I hope I addressed most concerns. And lastly, for the people saying 4 times a month is not that much. I'm not saying 4 times is too much. I'm simply saying, could she at least implement some OT in there somewhere? That way she could live her best life while also showing me that she's still working towards our life goals. And that's the end of that story. Yeah, I just think that you're right. I think this just wasn't a fit.
Yeah, I liked your comment on too. I think that compensatory piece is important. Is we compensate sometimes when we don't like something. Then how could she have compensated and made her feel better? And there could have been some room for that potentially. So.
And I think he can just take that into his next relationship.
That's right.
Yeah, and find someone, you fit a little bit more aligned with goals-wise.
Yeah, that's right.
Goals-wise. But that's the end of that story. And I think that was our last story with you. But yeah, thank you so
I
much.
loved being on.
I'm glad you came on.
Your followers are so beautiful.
They're very sweet.
They're so positive.
So no, we have a great community.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of them.
Thanks, guys, for letting me on.
Yeah, do you want to, one more time, introduce yourself for any new people and let us know where we can find you?
So my name is Dr. Kim. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist. You can find me on IG or TikTok at Dr. Kim Chronister. That's CHRONISTER.
Yeah, thank you so much again for coming on.
Thank you,
I'm
guys.
glad you enjoyed your time.
blast.
Thank you. Yeah.
You did a great job.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much. Okay. Bye, everyone. Thank you.